Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Switchheads, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet. My name is Matthew Stoner.
My name is Patrick Nisley.
My name is David Howe, and boy, oh boy, we got a very special guest with us on this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Bonnet has returned to the podcast.
Hey,
how you doing, Brian?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be back.
Good.
Yeah, you're back, baby, and you are back specifically to talk about Monster Hunter. We're going to talk about the series, but also Monster Hunter Rise just came out for the Nintendo Switch. It's blown up. Our Discord community is playing nothing but Monster Hunter Rise. It's really cool, and you're here to talk all about that series. That's our main focus of today's episode. In the news, we're going to cover all of the other stuff that's been going out, more Switch Pro rumors hitting the news waves, some great Balan Wonderworld reviews, and PAX East being canceled. Before we get started, how's everyone doing?
Pretty good. All right.
Doing okay.
Yeah, I'm doing solid.
Just woke up from a nap, so I'm not all there right now. So we'll see how this episode goes.
Well, then, let's talk about shout-outs real briefly. We did our last episode, 106, was on console modding with Karu Seta was our guest, and it sparked some nice discussion on the Discord, especially Cena had a lot to say about that and was interested in that. My friend Andrew Musel had some questions. Also, not related to that episode, but our friend Kyle on the Discord had a really big meta post we got to give a shout-out to. On Twitter.
Yeah, what was the content of that post? I was like busy while that was all coming out, so I didn't really get to peruse it.
It was very inside jokey to people who actually spend time on our Discord. So it was a bunch of theoretical shows involving people on the Discord.
Okay. If we had a community takeover of doing episodes, what would each of those community members do?
Right.
Per episode.
Well, we're doing that this episode.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
On Twitter, Donnie Meyer's been commenting a lot recently and had a nice tweet to us. Thanks for that, Donnie. Also, Ant Keeps Gaming. Always got to shout you out when you mention us, and especially because we have some crossover YouTube videos that everybody should go check out with Ant Keeps Gaming. We fought against his amiibos. At least 2 of the 3 are out, right? I think David's yours is coming soon.
Of the time we've recorded this, mine's the last one that has not yet come out, but that should be coming out soon as well. So check out Ant Keeps Gaming's YouTube channel if you want to watch his amiibo completely trash us, except for Patrick.
So yeah, we love to hear from our listeners. Send us a note, leave us a review, share the podcast somewhere. We appreciate it. And as a reminder, we're trying to get 250 subscribers on YouTube. How are we doing?
Good. The last time we talked about it on this podcast, we are now about halfway there. So let's keep it going. Remember, the deadline is soon. I want to actually do the thing. So I don't want to set a deadline on it and then not be able to do the thing. But yeah, if we can,
but we need a deadline. So there's a call to action. But we're gonna do it anyways.
Yeah. Do it by the time we get it. And then
everybody go subscribe on YouTube so David can make these audiobook versions of his childhood Zelda fan fiction, right? Is that essentially the way we're framing
That's
it?
Totally what it
Short
is.
version. Show 'em again.
As a reminder, it would be versions of The Legend of Zelda Generations, written by David Howe and Mrs. Halford's class in 1999, and The Legend of Zelda Pathways to the Future. So you can see here from the smash hit author of Zelda Generations, written by David Howe, and my friend Alan as well. I don't know why he didn't get billing on the cover for Mrs. Mitchell's class in 2000. So nice. Make sure you subscribe, and you'll get those fully produced, where I do all the sound effects and voices.
Awesome. Well, everybody go subscribe right now, and then we're going to talk about the news and rumors for the week.
That woke me up, by the way.
Good.
Let's go. Let's get the news.
Let's do it. So there was another Bloomberg article confirming, confirming is maybe the wrong word, but having a lot more details about the upgraded Switch that we are anticipating will come out this holiday. That's one of the details. It says it's launching the end of this year. What do we think about these details? Anything that y'all read or have seen? It's kind of a lot of the stuff that was rumored. An OLED screen, enhanced NVIDIA chip, some CPU and memory upgrades, and then there's that DLSS tech to get it up to 4K. This says when docked is what the summary I was looking at said.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you imagine that it could use DLSS potentially to get up to 720p. You know what I mean? For games like, say, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which has notoriously bad resolution in handheld mode. So I don't think that it precludes that. It just means that it wouldn't be like a 4K screen in handheld, right? It would be like to get to 4K in the dock. But what I took away from this was, I mean, this is all stuff we've already talked about, right? And this is just kind of, it's not really a confirmation because it's not confirmation until we get it from Nintendo, but it's like confirmation from the people on Reset Era by a way bigger outlet like Bloomberg or something like
sources
that.
Yeah.
I think the question is if it's actually going to hit a holiday 2021 release. What do you guys think about that?
That'd be cool.
I hope it does.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool for us and other Nintendo fans.
Yeah. No, I mean, I want it really bad and I want it right now.
Yeah.
Should we talk about this price point that the rumor is between?
Totally.
Yeah, that seems a little high to me, but maybe not. Maybe I'm still very confused if it's a replacement, and that's where I think it's a high price point, but maybe it's not a replacement.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
well, this is initially one.
Yeah. To be clear, the $350 to $400 price point is an analyst projection, not any sort of insider information about what Nintendo is going to be pricing it at. That's just basically them saying, based on current trends and the technology included, they think that they could do it for $350 to $400.
That makes sense.
I think the reason it seems high to you, Patrick, is Nintendo's never sold a console for $400 before. The highest they've gotten was $350 with the Wii U Deluxe Edition or whatever that came out, the black Wii U. I don't think that's why the Wii U sold poorly. I think there was like a lot of other reasons, but yeah, I mean, this would definitely be weird for Nintendo to sell something this high. I mean, most of their consoles have been like $200 historically, but I'd fucking get it at $400. I don't care, and I think that's why they will do it. Yeah. Anybody else could feel free to chime in. I feel like I'm having a conversation with myself.
No, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
No, I would probably end up paying. I would do it to get one that was like really nice, like full 4K, and also probably has a better battery than the one mine has. Because mine's starting to show a little bit of its life, and like it holds out fine, but it doesn't last as long as it used to. So I chill out for a new one.
Yeah, I would definitely get it, and I hope that there's software support that upgrade some of the existing games. I would love to replay Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey that renders in 4K.
Yeah.
Or DLSS.
If they were to do that, they would have to go back in and patch games on an individual basis, which I wonder what that's going to look like. I think the one time I can kind of remember something sort of akin to that happening was when they added the video recording feature into the Switch OS. Because when the Switch first came out, the screen capture button just did screenshots.
That's right.
And then like developers would have to go in game by game and like update their old games to allow it to make use of the video function. And there are still some games that just don't do it, just because they didn't bother to go back and fix the games post-release. So it'll be interesting to see which games get DLSS patches and which ones don't.
There's also, and I'm not entirely clear on this, if it was a demo given to some news outlets or like a video shown to some news outlets of a new Pokemon Snap footage and gameplay. That's where those names get tricky, y'all, when you're talking about the new Pokemon Snap footage.
Yeah. GameStop employees hate this.
And I think it was Game Informer in particular that has shown off some of this. I don't know if there's anything huge here. Did y'all watch any of this or read up on any of this? Any thoughts on this? Just looks like some robust tools to take cool pictures.
No, I didn't personally watch any of it because I just know I'm getting the game. And so since it's like an on rails shooter that looks like you'll be replaying the same levels over and over again, I don't want to spoil them all for myself since I know I'm going to be playing them a bunch anyway. The one thing I did see that gave me a bit of happiness was knowing that there will be gyro controls for the camera.
Awesome.
And that's all I cared to I looked up that information specifically to see if that was the case. And then was very happy to see that is included.
Yeah, I think there was some story elements that came out too. Not that I think it's going to be a very story heavy game, so that's also maybe something to avoid.
Speak for yourself. I'm in it for the story when I play a Pokemon Snap game. I'm a lore focused gamer.
Yeah. Speaking of like photography based story games, though, a game that I am also very excited about, and I don't know if it's going to come out before Pokemon Snap, but Umurangi Generation. Have you guys heard of that game?
I can't say I have.
Umurangi Generation is like a cyberpunk photography game, and it's like low poly aesthetic, and it's been out for PC for a while. But the developers look up this game if you're interested in Pokemon Snap because they've been taking their sweet time with the Switch version because they're adding tons of like Switch specific features because of the handheld nature and the gyro and everything like that. So if those are your kind of games, look that up because it's definitely got some like cool kind of dystopian cyberpunk vibes. If you're looking for a more adult photography sim.
That sounds cool as hell. I'll definitely have to look that up.
Yeah, I can't wait for that game to come out.
Cool. Reggie Fils-Aimé, the former president of Nintendo of America, was briefly on the GameStop board of directors, and he, along with 7 other board members, are gonna, exit or turn over, and they're gonna have new board members. So that doesn't seem like good news for GameStop. That doesn't make you think things are stable over there.
Sounds like a buying opportunity. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, they're just trying to test our fucking diamond hands.
Yeah. So I guess this summer they're having some meeting where they're going to replace all these board members or announce the replacements or whatever. So we'll see. It's been interesting to follow GameStop news as the one last big, exclusive game physical retailer here in the States.
Yeah. It's definitely been a roller coaster over the past year for just GameStop news in general. Like, yeah. I feel like it was less than a year ago that Reggie joined the board.
It was less than a year ago.
Yeah. And then all of this crazy shit happened. And it was like everybody in the world, even people who never heard of GameStop, like we're talking about GameStop all the time. When it was going crazy in the stock market.
Talking about, really redoing their stores to be more of like a, experience with like tournaments and reason to like play games there and retro games and stuff. And then COVID happened and we never really saw any of that, like.
I think it's probably for the best because I think that would have just turned into a daycare for your children while you go and shop at the rest of the mall. So not that anybody's going to malls.
Yeah. Yeah. Or that malls are doing well anyway.
Yeah.
So there's another interesting news here. Microsoft apparently is in talks to acquire Discord, or there were rumors of this. I don't know if they're credible or not, but I heard about this. I haven't looked too deep into this. If y'all followed this or looked into this seems up your alley, Matthew. What do you
it's just $10 billion. No big deal. I mean, the joke here is always like Microsoft bought Skype and everyone stopped using Skype. And I wonder if this will happen with Discord. Discord seems like huge right now, and it'd be really weird for people to shift away from a platform that's primarily for games or to see it integrated with, Xbox, the Xbox Network or Xbox Live.
what's the value of Discord? Do people really buy Discord Nitro enough for them to make tons of money? You know what I mean? Or is it the value like having access to that many people, like people's data, or what? I don't know. What does Microsoft get out of this? I guess is kind of what I'm trying to figure out.
I think user base, installed users. You you spend the money for people that are already in. I couldn't even guess how many users are in Discord, but you hit gamers from all interests of gamers, but not just gamers, but all sense of communities. They're all using your service, your chat service, and you can easily advertise Microsoft products or Xbox or games.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's the integration, right? I think it's probably a few things. I think it's that user base integration. I do think a lot more people pay for Discord Nitro than you would think. In the same way that microtransactions do so well, even though none of us probably that often pay for microtransactions in games, but they're still there and people make a fuck ton of money off of it. I think there's that. But then I think it's just like a valuation thing, like Twitter still isn't really profitable, or maybe it is at this point, but it's like, the really big tech companies, like you're paying for the captive audience, right? And the user base and the network. That, and of course it would be something they could add to Game Pass. You know what I mean? The Nitro subscription or something like that. Constantly trying to up the value of Game Pass. I don't think that Discord should sell. That seems like not a great idea. I feel like they're only going to get more and more valuable as time goes on. And I think that if anything, they should go public probably before selling to a big corporation like Microsoft. But I also don't think that if Microsoft bought it, it would kill it like it did with Skype, because I think we're looking at two very different things here. Like Skype was very much not like a social network, where Discord has become that, you know what I mean? And not like community focused. It was more of a utility rather than a platform. And so I think if it did happen, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I don't see any reason why Discord would want to sell at this point.
And in more COVID-related news, PAX East has been canceled. I think it was, I don't know if it's the beginning of the year or maybe late last year, when ReedPop or Penny Arcade said, we're going forward with these events. And PAX East is in June, or would be in June, and is now canceled. So that's interesting. They are still saying they're going to go forward with the next one, which I'm not even sure is that West and where that one or when that one is scheduled for, sometime later in the year, probably in the fall. But
they are doing a digital event in its place this summer. Yeah.
And I watched some of the one last summer, and there was some good panels and stuff. So everybody should check that out, because it'll be free, or at least it was last year. And you can watch some interesting talks and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Just vaccinations are here, but the world's not quite ready. It seems
not up to that point.
Yeah.
I don't know the percentage of people that are vaccinated yet, but it's probably not anywhere near where it needs to be.
Yeah. I mean, the PAX flu or whatever.
Yeah, it's already the PAX Pox.
Anyway. Yeah, PAX Pox. We don't need to compound that.
And there's talk about a Ghost of Tsushima movie that's coming. Sounds like it Sony's putting out. I think here's what I think is interesting about this one. Like, I guess this was a big game, but it was super recent. Like, that's what I find fascinating about them moving forward with this. And I don't know if this is official news or if it's just insider leaking. I don't think they've have they announced this yet? I guess they have. They have. Never mind. I take it back. Yeah. I'm looking into it right now, and apparently they have. So, Ghost of Tsushima was a pretty big game. It was like obviously one of the biggest PlayStation 4 original IP games or whatever. But it's just interesting to see them turn this into a movie so quickly. Do y'all have any thoughts on this?
Yeah. Why not Sly Cooper Sucker Punch?
Yeah. I mean,
Do you
I
want to
guess
see like a
that's a fair
like a
point, Matt.
kids like
I
a
don't
what Illumination Studios Sly Cooper movie?
Yeah, let's do it. Put some minions in there. I don't know.
Sony seems real eager to turn all their big games into movies and TV shows. You know, we know there's an Uncharted. We know there's The Last of Us. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe they've been planning this since day one. If it was successful, to also do a movie.
Is it going to be like the Sony extended universe?
That would
have
be-
like a
yeah.
whole like Avengers-esque thing.
I would be into this. I'd be
The
totally-
PlayStation All Stars verse is
Yes.
what they're doing. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we have that Twisted Metal show coming
Yeah.
or movie coming out.
yeah.
Yeah,
Last of Us.
They're leaning into it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're onto something, Brian.
I think I think Ghost of Tsushima would make a great movie, you know, but it's like it was already a pretty cinematic game, you know what I mean? And I think if that's what it takes to get good video game movies out there, like every time I hear about a new video game franchise that's getting a screen adaptation, I always am rooting for it because it's like, video game movies like should be the next comic book movies,
Yeah.
or the next superhero movies where it's like that's taken over. Like video games are a way bigger industry than comics, you know what I mean? And it's way more, in everyone's lives at this point. And there's so much untapped potential there. Everyone's just super fucking hesitant because every single one has failed so far. So hearing that all these like prestige like game franchises are now getting, adaptations with a lot of work put into them, and what Tomb Raider as well as getting an animated adaptation. So it's like hearing that all this stuff is coming out soon gets me really excited because sure, I bet a bunch of those are going to suck, but if one of them is good, then it'll give Hollywood that much more confidence to start putting more money into these and hiring better talent for them. You know what I mean? And actually putting the work in to actually make some good shit. Because it's there, man. It's there for the taking. It's the next big gold mine for Hollywood. And I'd rather see that than remakes of Bad News Bears or whatever, which which is what we're getting outside of superhero movies,
Mighty
I mean, maybe, I
Ducks.
don't know. That was 10 years ago. But
Let's see heavyweights. I don't know.
I want to see Sly Cooper, okay? But Ghost of
Thank you.
Tsushima.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one trying to bring up Sucker Punch as one of their original IPs that came out for PlayStation. Sly Cooper, come on.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like Sly, Ghost of Tsushima has to jump so Sly Cooper can soar.
Okay. Last week we talked about the rumor, which is now confirmed, that PlayStation digital stores are closing, in particular the PlayStation 3 and the handheld stores, the Vita and PSP stores. You'll no longer be able to make new purchases on those starting at different times this summer. So that's obviously bad. We talked all about why we think that's bad last week, but I guess on the positive column, the stores are closing, but you can still re-download games, at least until sometime in the future. If they ever shut that down, I'm sure nothing lasts forever, but they aren't planning to shut down the ability to like re-download things or access previously purchased things and that kind of thing. So that's a positive, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I just think, yeah, this is just what we get when Sony doesn't give a shit about backwards compatibility.
and it's what we get when it's always a new store and always, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like at some point, shouldn't it just be one store, one server, whatever?
Steam has figured this out. You know what I mean? There's 50 million different platforms of computers, different kinds of computers that can run all different kinds of stuff. There's games you can download from Steam that only play on like DOS systems. So if you're running Windows 10, it's not going to run that. You're going to have to figure it out. You download it on a machine that has DOS or whatever, but it's at least you can get it. So they just need to consolidate and figure out a way to get all this shit running on one system, or just have people have to be able to figure it out.
Yeah. We talked all about it last week, so it's a bummer. We'll move on.
I don't like it. It sucks.
So a game came out this week, Balan Wonderworld, And this has been a really interesting release to follow because I guess they didn't allow anybody to have like pre-release review copies. Is that right, David? As you were saying, I hadn't heard that exactly, but we didn't hear much about it till it came out, right?
Well, they've been hyping this game for like almost a year now. They showed off footage of it a long time ago in like the early 2020. And it's a game by Yuji Naka, the like creator of Sonic and Nights into Dreams, and it had like hella Nights vibes going into it, and people were really excited for it. And then a demo came out a little bit ago, and it was fucking dog shit and really, really terrible. And everybody was like, man, this game's probably going to suck. And then it came out and did really suck. I think the reason why it's notable in news, because bad games come out all the time. The reason it's notable is because, they held review copies until the day it came out. So, like, most reviews at the time of this recording aren't even out yet. But what is interesting is on Metacritic, there's just like tons of user reviews that are like all 10s and super positive, and all written like they sound like bots. And so that's kind of
suspect.
Yeah, it's hella sus, and a great reason why we should just abolish user reviews. I've been saying this forever.
Or not weight them so well or whatever. Like I think they have their use, but it's definitely problematic.
Right? Yeah, have some user review board that identifies if they're legitimate users posting or not.
Yeah. Something like that. I don't know. I just
verified purchases on Steam kind of a thing or something is a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little better, at least.
I think Rotten Tomatoes has a thing now where you have to like prove that you've seen the movie in order to do it. I don't know if it's like a quiz.
A quiz?
Or whatever.
I don't know. I saw it, but I don't remember if in scene 5 he had a Coke in his hand or a Pepsi.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a ticket stub or something, right? That you have to like prove that you've seen it or some sort of receipt. But it's like, it's just so dumb. Like I was watching a YouTube video today about how the new Godzilla vs. Kong user review, it's getting review bombed by like Snyder Cut fans who like really want WB to continue the Snyderverse. So they're like,
stop making these movies and make movies we want.
Exactly. So they're review bombing Godzilla vs. Kong. And then the guy in the video was saying like, and now thankfully all these other people are coming in, fans of WB, saying, hey, we want the Snyder Cut, but we're going to rate Godzilla vs. Kong all 10s in order to counteract it. And I applaud them. And I'm like, no, nobody should be doing any of this unless they've seen the movie and are being honest about what they think. I just think it's such a crock of shit. It's so easily played. Anyway, sorry, I'm ranting. We can move on.
No, that's good. But it just sounds like it's a terrible game. Wonderworld, which is a shame, right? Because like, I want platform. It's like a 3D platformer. I want more platformers, and
yeah, it seems like a game to maybe buy that eventually will be super expensive.
And Matt, you were kind of joking about this. You're like, it's reviewing so badly that you want to play it.
Oh, totally. This is I love these type of games. Brian, I think you're a big fan of Deadly Premonition.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like your game. It feels like it could or potentially reach that status, but similar to like Cats, where you can see the $1 million just like floating away in these bad animations, and that appeals to me.
Okay, you've gone too far, Matt.
Cats is a shitty movie, and that's why I love it.
I love Cats.
Me too.
I love Cats too. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it for those reasons.
But Cats doesn't give you seizures on the final boss.
Oh, that's right. That was another thing this game made news for.
But both of the games do, the game and the movie share, because they both got updated.
That's true. I guess you're right.
They both got updates.
They did have to digitally remove buttholes from Balan Wonderworld.
Give us the butthole cut in Balan.
WB, you need to continue the butthole verse.
Also, this is our last episode before March 31st, which is the end of Mario 35, and the Fire Emblem NES game is no longer available. The 3D collection is going to be pulled from shelves.
Just so you guys know, in In the edit, I am playing taps in the background right now.
So this is our last chance to warn you about this. I don't even know, actually. Our podcast might come out the day that this happens, so we can't even warn you about this, I think. Maybe you have mere hours to go purchase these games.
Yeah.
Or play Mario 35. And then also our last chance to speculate. Do you think anything will happen immediately? Do you think they will... I mean, to the extent that there is anything to replace all this, I doubt that we're going to hear about it on April 1st, right?
I don't think we'll see anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we will either. I think that probably what's the word I'm looking for? The unfortunate reality is probably going to be that they're taking off Mario 35 and they'll replace it with some sort of Zelda version for whenever they do start announcing the Zelda stuff, right? And then this was just like a fleeting thing. Because I read somewhere that there's like laws in Japan where if you say something is limited, it like has to be limited because you're driving sales towards it. And so if you pull that eventually, then that's seen as an anti-consumer kind of trick or tactic.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, also it just sucks that they're doing it at all. You know what I mean? Because it just means that there probably is no chance that the stuff is coming back. Or at least, you know, it makes it to where it's unlikely to be a Tetris 99 thing where it's just going to stick around forever. And I'm viewing this from a mainly Mario 35 perspective because I've put like 100 hours into that game. Yeah, it's some stuff is already gone. Like the bookmarking site for Mario Maker 1 got pulled down today, which is we're recording this on the 29th. So I think they're serious about it. And it's, you know, people thought that was going to be around a whole extra 2 days. So, you know, I think it's going to be gone for good. They're going to fucking cover Mario in kerosene and light his ass on fire, and trot him out into the town square so we can all watch him burn.
Hypothetical. David, would you be less upset if they replaced Mario 35 with, say, like an F-Zero 35?
Oh, dude. I mean, I would still be upset because I love Mario 35, but no, they absolutely should do that. There's basically already that in F-Zero X with the death race mode. If they just turned that into an online game, I mean, that would definitely lessen the sting a little bit. Yeah.
Well, our last news item is to take us into our main topic, which is that Monster Hunter Rise released. And just kind of to go over the newsy aspect of it, it's reviewing very well, even though we talked about how this, you know, is problematic. The Metacritic scores, it's doing very well in both the like critic reviews and the user reviews. It's currently at 87 critic reviews and 9.4 user review on Metacritic. Capcom has stated that they shipped 4 million units in the first handful of days, first 3 days over the weekend. And I think it's breaking some records in Japan. I don't have those numbers right in front of me, but I came across that sometime earlier today of like, I think it maybe even beat the Animal Crossing sales first 3 days or whatever in Japan.
There was that company who they made it a work holiday because they noticed that everybody was asking off for the day that the game was coming out, and the boss apparently was a huge fan, so they were like, all right, everybody take off, we're playing Monster Hunter today.
Let's call a spade, we're not getting any work done. Just fucking go home.
Yeah, your job is to hunt monsters.
And there were some reports that Capcom's stock has hit some all-time high as well that I saw, so obviously doing pretty well, but I guess we'll get into, I mean, unless there's anything related to those things y'all want to talk about, we'll get into all the nitty gritty of Monster Hunter and Monster Hunter Rise after we take a short break here. All right, so this week we are talking all about Monster Hunter and Monster Hunter Rise, which just came out for the Nintendo Switch. So I'm not an expert. That's why we have you, Brian. But Monster Hunter is a Capcom game, and the first one came out in 2004 for the PlayStation 2. And from my like research into this, you know, this is probably debatable, but there are 6 mainline games, including Rise, and then a bunch of spin-off games. So it hasn't even been 20 years, but it's a very popular series, especially in Japan. But I think now it's easy, you know, there's no debate that it's a worldwide popular series.
Worldwide.
Worldwide.
Well, that was the game that actually made it go worldwide. So
Exactly.
solid joke.
Monster Hunter World, which is what,
And that will be my entire contribution to the Monster Hunter discussion.
that was the one previous to this, right?
Yes.
Sorry, Matthew,
Yeah.
what you got?
Yeah, I was going to add that Monster Hunter is Capcom's second most successful franchise, following Resident Evil being number one.
Nice. And there was a movie. They even made a movie late last year. Did you see that movie, Brian?
I have not.
Okay.
I want to, out of like staring at a train wreck, like that kind of like desire. But yeah, I don't want to pay money for it.
That's fair. I think that's understandable. Well, like maybe we should let you take this question of like what kind of a game is a Monster Hunter game? How
So, like, Monster Hunter is like weird to describe because it's like on one hand very simple, just like you have a weapon, you're going to go out, you're going to kill a monster, you get better, like you get parts to make better weapons, and then rinse repeat. But that's like really it'd be like explaining a sport versus like what makes the sport interesting, you know, and like what really pulls the Monster Hunter thing along is it's almost like a personal discovery. Like it's almost you versus yourself. Like the game really pushes you to just get better. And so that's what makes the game so rewarding, is just that like you're fighting a lot of similar monsters across like, the same kinds of spaces, but like you are like really growing as you play the game. And so you can you go back to those monsters that just kicked your teeth in for the first like 20 hours of the game. And then you just like style on them. And it feels so good. Like I've never felt the sense of accomplishment in a game as I have with Monster Hunter.
So it's like an action RPG, but you don't level up, right? You craft new weapons, but also you get good by playing the game, and because it's kind of complicated, and you just get better at it. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Yeah. You do, like, the gear and stuff you get does make it so that, you'll have more defense. It'll be harder for you to die. You'll do more damage, but you can have, like the best gear in the game and still just get stomped.
Mm.
Gotcha.
It sounds like a roguelike in that way.
Totally.
Where, I mean, roguelikes are obviously different where they're procedurally generated and have permadeath, which I don't think are included in Monster Hunter.
No.
But I think for me, what I love about roguelikes is that I'm not leveling up, but I am becoming more skilled as a player as I play, right?
Mhm.
Cool. So, okay, that sounds fun. I think I'll play.
And I think it was Matthew, it was you that kind of compared it to like Phantasy Star Online or something. And I kind of feel that because I played Phantasy Star Online, and playing Monster Hunter Rise, it kind of reminds me of that, like doing sort of the same areas with my friends online or with randoms online. You know what I mean? And just getting better at the game kind of thing, and just enjoying the pace of it a little bit too.
Totally.
Like I think well, maybe I'll save that for when we talk about Monster Hunter Rise. But Brian, what's your history with Monster Hunter? Did you get in with World or previously?
I got in a little before World. So I played 4U on the 3DS was my first one. I had some friends that had played 3 Ultimate on the Wii U, and they just went like real hard on that. Like two of my roommates did. And I was like kind of like casually observing them. And then they jumped into 4U. And I started playing as well, but they were like much better at the game than me. And so they got way further ahead. And so I just kind of was still learning it. And I got through about maybe like 2/3 of the game, but then I was like, it's fine. And then I got really, really into Generations Ultimate on the Switch. I missed kind of like, I guess I didn't play for a little bit. I didn't, the releases for Monster Hunter typically went like the new version, and then they would come out with an ultimate version. And the original version a lot of times didn't come to the US. They would just bring the ultimate version over because they weren't doing super great in the US. And so Capcom would just do like one of the 2 releases rather than both. And so I played the Generations Ultimate on the Switch because that's how they brought it here originally. And it took me a while to get into it because Monster Hunter is just like, it's gotten a little better, but it's fucking hard to get started. And I finally I feel like that's when I sort of broke through the wall, was playing Monster Hunter Generations. And it just kind of been, I tumbled into it from that point forward.
So
Nice.
is like I think it's called Iceborne, right? Is that like the ultimate version of World, or is that like just an expansion of the game?
So it's kind of like the ultimate version of World, but it
Right.
was released as just a standalone expansion. But
Okay,
it
gotcha.
was almost like full price. I want to say the expansion was like $50 when it came out, because it was basically as big as World was. It's like pretty sizable, like almost the exact same amount of content. And it added pretty much a whole new way to play every single weapon. So even if you've been playing that one weapon for like 100 hours, now you can literally play it a completely different way. And so it's like you're kind of starting over again. And so Iceborne was really really big. A lot of people have strong opinions about it. It added a couple of mechanics that people were sort of they either really like or they really hate. I thought they were pretty cool, but I also didn't play it as much as like a super hardcore Monster Hunter fan, so it didn't burn me out. But yeah, Monster Hunter, like any sort of insular nerd community, people have strong opinions about stuff. So
Yeah. Fair enough.
yeah.
Well, we've been talking about like the multiplayer aspect of Monster Hunter. Does it have any merits to like its single player, or is it all multiplayer?
I would say yes. I would say that single player is it's like its own beast in a sense, because you can play online. It's, I would say, the most fun online, because it's just like you can all play together. You can like sort of help each other out. You like not just through playing, but also through tips and sort of just like all making each other better. But then when you go offline and you're just playing 1v1 versus a monster, you get to really see how good you are.
Mhm.
Like, because there's no one
Right.
else to pull the attention away. The monster's only focusing on you or your palico or whoever, but like pretty much it's just you. So the only way that monster is going to go down is you. And so it's sort of like the ultimate test, but if you haven't really put in the time, it can be really not fun because it can just completely obliterate you.
Right.
Cool. Well, let's dig into the specifics around Monster Hunter Rise then. Maybe we talk about some of the things you were talking about, the accessibility first, because
Yeah.
I'm a new player to Monster Hunter, and I've heard people say that this is better than previous entries in terms of all that, but and that they've got a lot of quality of life improvements and all that kind of stuff, but it's still not great.
No,
Like-
it's bad. It's real bad. I would honestly say I think World did a better job than Rise for like onboarding players. They had more like set piece moments where like you would kind of go into like a small space and it would like sort of teach you some mechanics, and then you went to the actual town where they started just wall dumping text at you for you to like know all these different systems. So at least it sort of like lets you know what the game was about before they just vomited text on you.
Yeah, there's a lot of vomiting of text going on in Rise.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I mean. I gave the demo a shake
Mhm.
before this came out because I know you guys were comparing it to Phantasy Star Online, and I think that there's, at least from my perspective, it's always seemed like it's got a little bit of MMO influence in the way that Xenoblade is kind of a similar style of combat as well. It seems, where it's like, I wouldn't say button mashy. Like there's obviously combos and dodges and stuff like that, but it's like, that style of game has never really stood out to me. But I think that when I gave the demo a shake earlier, what turned me off was just like, oh my God, I'm reading all of this stuff right at the very beginning that's teaching me before I even had a chance to like move around. And my eyes just completely glazed over.
Totally.
And I was like, I don't know if my patience is up to snuff for this game personally.
And I'm going to say you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
anytime
cool.
someone's like, I don't like Monster Hunter, I'm like, that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
like
That's good, because I am feeling some FOMO this weekend. My hand hovered over the purchase button several times just because everybody in our community is playing Monster Hunter right now. You know what I mean? But I just I'm trying to practice some self-control and know like this game might not be for me,
Right.
and that's okay. Yeah.
yeah.
This
And
is why we
that's-
have a Brian in our community to help those of us that are new along.
Right.
Right? Like I think that's where this game or has benefited for me, is that Brian and Austin have been, I mean, and I'm not even absorbing most of what y'all are saying, but at least you're like, we're playing and y'all are telling me instead of like the bad thing about the way they do these sort of tutorials in this game is like, you'll go to do something and you're like about to like kind of experientially do it. And then it kind of abruptly pulls you out of it and gives you like a 5-page thing. And you're like, oh no, I wanted to try, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's where the real error in this is, and maybe it's just too much up front because you know you can't retain all that.
No.
Yeah, Patrick,
go ahead.
Patrick, I'm curious, like about your experience. Like David had one experience where it's very difficult, and I had a similar experience where I downloaded the demo, saw the text, tried to use the wire bug, and I was like, "This is too complicated. I don't want to learn this." But I know, Patrick, you've been playing it with people and having people teach you how to play this game. Curious about
that's why it's been working for me, is because you know Austin was really excited about it, and you know I wasn't as excited as he was, but I was like, I'll play the demo with you for a bit. And the sessions are long, which is maybe something else we can talk about. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you want to go on a hunt with 3 friends, like Brian and Austin and Adam and I did last night, for example, like we're settling in for at least an hour, right? Like, I mean, so I committed to doing that a few times with Austin, and then you get the basics of it down. And I do think where it does really have good gameplay, it's just complicated. It doesn't teach it to you very well. And so like you have to get past that to see whether you like it or not. And I think the movement and the game feel is really good. And I've found my niche a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, at least for now.
What weapon are you using?
I like the light bow gun, which I've only I haven't even experimented with all the weapons, but I tried 3 or 4, and that one just felt like the right mix of, you know, just the right fit for me for now, at least. So
it sounds almost kind of like a fighting game in a way.
It is,
where you've got lots of different sorts of play styles and you find which one works for you. Like you're picking a character in a fighting game.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good comparison. And then it goes even a step beyond that with this one, because you can like switch in different styles like within a weapon. And
it's
so
like a tag team fighting game.
Yeah. Or like, you know, like you're choosing your finisher move, you know, like
right.
What is your, you know, like what's your ultimate move? And so like that's the one thing that I think is if you have either just like an unlimited amount of patience, or someone, because I got into it because one of my friends sat down with me and helped me through the game, and that's what like helped me off with like the like initial hump. And but like once you get past that, like you really get to like find this experience that is like perfectly catered to your play style, which is really cool. Because like you can also even like the armor and stuff you wear changes like your like stats and stuff in a way that's like, it's not really like, okay, like some of them are, oh, I hit harder, but some of them could be like, okay, your dodge is a little further. So maybe you like to be like a more aggressive, like with your dodge rolls. So you can, now that you have like a little bit further on your dodge, you can now roll through attacks. And so you can do things like that. So you can really spec how you play around like literally how you play, which is cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. And I think the social element has been really nice too. Like I said, you know, you're in for an hour, and there's sort of this aspect of when you go to a new map, everybody just rides around and gathers things for the first 5 to 10 minutes. And
like
so it's just kind of like
with the area. I
well,
guess.
and you get these little perks and stuff that you ride around, and it's called like endemic life and all these little things that you're riding around to get before you go fight the monster that you're trying to fight. And so it's just time to talk and whatever, you know, like,
right.
So that's cool too.
Yeah. I'm curious, Brian, I've heard a lot, you know, you're talking about the maps and the actual world that you explore, the open world that you explore in this game. Would you say that's this one is the best of the series so far?
It's hard for me to say right now, because I think some of the maps in World were really cool. And that was the first one where there was no load times between zones. Right. Prior to that, there was like a bunch of small maps that were all connected through like load zones. And so this one actually, when they started making it, it had load zones. And then they saw how good World was performing like internationally, and they were like, huh, let's do that. And so they actually had to rebuild it all to be able to use like the open world system. And so I think they did really well with this one. And I really like the endemic life. And I like the variety of maps, because I've gotten to kind of like, I've seen 6 so far of them. And I think they're really varied, and they're very fun to move around in. And they definitely designed them around the wire bug in a way that makes it really fun to just run around. Like
so a lot of verticality, would you say?
Yeah, the first couple of them are like, there's enough, but they don't go too crazy with it, so you're not just lost. And then as they go on, they kind of start making them have more and more like vertical niches and caves and stuff like that as you get a little bit more comfortable with the controls and stuff. And so I really liked how they did that.
And those Palamutes, the dogs, riding around on those in and of itself is a lot of fun. Like, that just feels really good.
I did enjoy that in the demo. Kind of like Tokyo drifting on my dog. Yeah.
It's and it's just like scrambling around trying to get its feet, and you just zoom off.
Yeah. And you can like all the stuff that you would usually have to like pause for, you can do while riding the dog now too, right?
Yes. Which is a huge quality of life boost. Because also when you went up to like, let's say like something, you're going to go pick some herbs, you used to have to go through 3 like long animations, like to get everything. But now you just go like zoop and you get all of it. And you're just like, you don't even really stop with the dog. So this game has, like I was saying before, how, people have strong opinions about things. Some people either really like that or don't like that. Because the series as a whole has sort of shifted from this idea of like, you're a hunter and you have to prepare before you go into a fight, and you've got to learn the environment, and you've got to like learn how to track, and you've got to like, it's all of this like work that you have to do to take down a monster. And that has its own reward, but it also like really limits like how much effort like your player base, because like you're asking a lot from people to be able to start playing. So I feel like with the series, as it's kind of gone forward from like 4U on, they've started trying to make it almost more about just like getting to the monster and getting into the fight. And this one especially has really turned that knob to just be like, okay, yeah, you've got all these other things, but like, we're not going to slow you down. You can pick things up on your dog. You can sharpen your weapons on your dog. We'll show you exactly where the monster is. Go. And so that's, I think, good. But also some people sort of miss that like slower paced, like all about preparedness aspect of the old games.
Well, that's where Generations Ultimate, that's the game for them then.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's this mix between like an arcade style accessible experience where it's easy versus like what you're saying with Generations Ultimate is more simulation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, like simulation with like maybe with like a soft S. Like it's not, like you're not, like you do have to have, like a hot drink so that you don't freeze to death. But, you don't have to like put on the right clothes or something. But you did have to have those things. But before, if you went into a hunt and you needed that hot drink, you didn't take it with you, you were just fucked. You had to quit the quest. You had to go back and get it. You had to jump back into the quest. But now, like as of, I want to say I think it was Gen U or it was World. Like you can go into your item box like on the hunt, which sounds like it should have been there from the start, but that was not the case before. If you forgot it, you're fucked. Like that's on you. And so that's where the series came from. And so it took a while for them to sort of like pull apart that idea and sort of make it into something that's like, while albeit still hard to get into, it's a little bit more accessible.
Right.
One thing I want to make sure we talk about which is something that we did last night when Brian and I were playing. It's this rampage event. So like most of the hunts are, you go out onto this map and you hunt a specific giant monster. But I think you were saying that this is new to the series, and it sort of ties into the story, which I haven't really experienced because I've mostly just been playing multiplayer, right? There's this idea that a ton of monsters every so often have this event called a rampage where they tear through this town, as monsters do.
Much like the arcade game Rampage.
But you can do rampage missions, which are almost more like a tower defense game, but still like Monster Hunter. And we played one last night, and it was a lot of fun, but it felt very different and kind of weird, but I enjoyed it. Do you want to explain this, Brian? Like, how it worked?
So like the series has always had, or like, I don't know, I haven't played the earlier one, so I don't know at what point they started doing it, but they had this idea of like a siege mission where they'd have like big turrets and cannons and stuff. You shoot at a big monster to try to take them down. But they were always super clumsy, not very fun, very frustrating, and sort of trying to like drive like story moments where it's like, okay, you've got to move over here to do this thing now. And sometimes it was really unclear on like how to do that. And so it'd just be really frustrating and just like, they're not that fun. But they kept on trying to make it work like every game. And with this one, they finally were like, okay, well, fuck that. And they sort of threw that out the window. And they just sort of set up this system of like tower defense where like all these monsters will be coming in, but you can actually like at these different platforms, like build turrets and cannons and like have like bombs that come up so they'll run into them. And you can either make them so that they can be user based or the like AI will automatically shoot those things for you. And it can, like, as you like level up through that match, you'll get access to more and more things that you can build. And like Patrick was saying, it's just a totally different fucking game. You're like, what is going on? It's absolute chaos, at least at this point, because I've only played 2 or 3 of them, and I don't really fully know like meta strats by any means. So it's just kind of like absolute batshit craziness.
Yeah, I mean, you go from hunting, monsters in a group of 4 with the bow and arrow to like shooting a, just rapid fire machine gun from a turret.
It's like a Gatling gun that has like
satisfying.
a
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Which brings me to something else about this game that like there's some like this is a very human game. Like humans love to kill things. like there's part of me, and I think even last night when we were fighting one of the smaller monsters where everybody was like, oh, this is really sad. This monster's not very good at fighting back, and we're just beating the crap out of it. And there's a sense of like, we killed the dinosaurs in this game or something, or like
we are the meteor.
But I think it's true that actually in human history, or in history, there were there used to be megafauna. Megafauna, like large mammals in places like Australia and places that humans wiped out. So here we are.
That's right. Don't you forget it. Humans wiped them out. We're number 1.
Fuck the mammoth.
But it is a weird part of this game that there's a bit of me, but it's a game, so I never,
Yeah. World,
Patrick played Postal, and he's like, man, that's just so true about the human conditions. We really do just shoot up all these innocent people on the street. Well, I guess we do, though. Yeah.
It is like in World in particular, they were really trying to like really drive home this, like, you're part of the ecosystem, just like really like getting into, like how we fit into the world. And then you're just murdering everything. Yeah. So there's just like this tonal disconnect between gameplay and story that they've just never been able to like reconcile.
Yeah, I think it's hard to justify.
Right. I think canonically, the only monsters that are actually killed in this game are the ones that happen in the story moments, and then anything else that happens outside of that is just kind of like
catch and release.
Yeah.
And after you harvest them for parts.
Right. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but
maybe we can talk briefly about like performance and stuff like that with this game. Unless I'm taking us off track too much.
No, there's no track.
But that's something that, to me, part of the reason I'm having like major FOMO right now in watching everybody play this game is that this game like looks fucking beautiful on the Switch. Yeah, like it's, especially for a third-party game. It's usually the Nintendo first-party games that like really take advantage of the hardware and push it to its limits. But it's like, this is the RE engine, I think, that this game is running on, and it looks gorgeous. How is the performance? Like, other than just how great it looks, like how does it play?
It's buttery smooth.
Yeah. I haven't noticed anything, right? And that's what you want. Like,
there's like the only thing that I can see where they took like an optimization is if something's far away and they're flying, they kind of almost like stop motion the wings a little bit.
Right.
But like, you're not losing frames. They just kind of optimized stuff that's further away so that it takes less system resources, which like, that doesn't really bother me too much. Like, if that's the price I have to pay for the game to run this fucking smooth, fine with it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on too, because everybody's got a dog and everybody's dog is attacking the monster and everybody's attacking the monsters.
And everybody's weapons are like particle machines, just like spraying shit out. So,
how about the online? Were you guys seeing any lag with the online or anything like that?
No,
not really. No, I had one of my friends kind of like disconnect a couple times, but he has that problem with some other games too. So I don't think it was necessarily related to the game itself, but
I've only played a couple of matches online, but they've been great.
Yeah.
So far.
I just know Nintendo's online is so spotty so often, but yeah, if it's just like easy to connect with people and open lobbies and stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, and it's been, and maybe this is true of all Monster Hunter games, but like it took a minute to figure it out because I think the first time we were doing this, you're like, where do I go to join the quest that you started? And Austin is already in it. He's like, I don't know, I'm fighting, and I'm like, I don't know, but then you can join somebody in progress. So I was able to then, once I figured it out, join him in mid thing. And I think we were joking about it last night too, where somebody was like, you feel great because you go join up with some randoms and they kill the monster right when you get there, or so, you know what I mean, or something.
And you're like, you're welcome.
Yes, exactly. But so far that's been pretty good. Again, with a caveat of once you understand how to join the matches and stuff.
Yeah.
How many players can play at once?
4.
Yeah, it's limited in that way, I guess. It's like, but the lower level monsters, and me being as bad as I am, seem kind of easy with when you have 4 people. But again, I'm playing with some people that have more experience than me, but like,
I would say it takes, like, especially for multiplayer setup, like it takes a little bit for the I feel like the difficulty to really ramp up. Because those early ones you can kind of just like step on, they just sort of fall over. But yeah, it definitely starts picking up. Like they get pretty gnarly.
I do know that from the demo, because the demo had some harder ones that I tried, but the aesthetics, just back to what you were talking about, David, too, of just the visuals, the game looks amazing. Like it might be the best, arguably one of, if not the best looking Switch games there is, just in terms of the graphics and stuff. And the music is really great. I love the theme song. Like I'm humming it like during the day.
It feels like it definitely took some inspiration from Breath of the Wild, right? Like at least in the aesthetics department, like the character design, the world design, stuff like that.
And I would say almost like some of the mobility stuff, like how you climb up things. Like it has a fairly similar, like I have as much fun climbing stuff in this game as I did Breath of the Wild, which it says a lot, because I feel like that's what I did half of that game, was just like run up a mountain. I was like, I'm going on that mountain.
Yeah. It's that self-imposed challenge of like, I see that, I want to climb that. And then you do, and you feel amazing.
Yes.
You would say that's also replicated in this game?
Yeah. It feels, I have a lot of fun climbing stuff and jumping around in this game.
Climb I guess you can climb things with your wire bug and stuff, but it's not like the same as Breath of the Wild that like you can just like walk up
every surface you can climb. I
mean, I guess in theory you kind of can with the wire bug.
You were kind of like Spider-Man in Zelda in that way, or
like anything is your
Yeah, with Monster Hunter, you have to use like the wire bug to start like the animation to start running. So you can't just like walk up to a wall and start going. So you kind of have to like sling up. But then from that point, pretty much every surface that's like probably like less than a 45-degree angle, you can just kind of run up.
Well, that sounds like Spider-Man too at the wire bugs. Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of wondering about picking your brain about this, Brian. I know that they've said they're going to release some updates and there's more content coming for free. Should we expect more beyond what they've told us? Do you think there'll be some paid DLC with the success of this? I mean,
I think I might be totally making this up, but I think they said that there is effectively like an Iceborne-esque expansion that they're going to make for this. I think since Iceborne did as well as it did, rather than releasing like a whole another game that you have to pick up that's that game plus the expansion, they're just going to release just the expansion as like something you can download because it's so easy these days. So I think that's happening for sure, because they're also releasing this on PC at some point. So they'll probably have the release on PC, and then like X number of months after that, do the full expansion for everyone. And with all Monster Hunter games, they usually have some kind of like events stuff, and they'll just be like wacky ass like moments. They did like a bunch of crossovers for Monster Hunter World, where there was like a Witcher crossover. There was like a Final Fantasy 14 crossover. There was the movie had a crossover into the game. You could actually wear like Mila Jovovich's like outfit, like running around. There was a Devil May Cry.
What the? I'm sold, dude. I'm saying no more, fam. I'm picking up right now.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff. And from what I hear, we'll just say, if you don't want a spoiler, just kind of put it on mute. But apparently the game just stops. The final battle is like not even in the game. Like it's coming out like as a DLC, which seems really odd. I don't love that, but I'm also not at the end of the game, so it doesn't affect me yet. So we'll see where we are.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I've heard too. Is that the game feels like there's more content yet to come, but that it also feels somewhat intentionally that way. And I think you maybe touched on this earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong. But it's like we've gotten in the West, we've gotten these games after they've reached their completion in the East, in Japan, right? And so it's like, so I think a lot of people aren't quite used to that in for a Western Monster Hunter experience, because it's like you're usually getting the game with like all the added content that comes over the years all in one package. Right. So it's like, as I understand it, it's like it's pretty safe to assume that there will be a lot of like free content added even before a big expansion that's paid, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's even some people that are just like, oh, this game's too easy. There's nothing hard. And it's like, well, dude, like the hard stuff is always in the expansion part. Like there's always like low rank, or high rank, and then G rank. And like G rank is where like if you're really trying to get your ass kicked, like that's where the game starts. And so some people are like, oh, it's so easy. It's like, it hasn't even come out yet. Like, what are you complaining about? Like,
but I mean, is that stuff usually gated behind like a purchase? Like, would you say it's fair if someone's looking for a challenge that this game is worth $60?
I guess it depends on how much you've played Monster Hunter. Like it's like someone being mad at Dark Souls 3 for being too easy when they've sunk like 400 hours into Dark Souls 1 and 2. You know, like sure. you know the system so well. Like, what could they possibly do to surprise you at this point?
Right.
This game does have such a fundamental change with the wire bug that I feel like if you've enjoyed Monster Hunter, inherently you're going to have a lot of fun playing this game. So I would say it does, because it's so different from the other ones. But it also still might not quite hit that challenge itch that you want yet. So
right. Good to know. I'm a super master of the Monster Hunter system, so
right, yeah. So you can skip
I'll hold off. Yeah.
Wait for that PC release. Get that nice all those mods to make it as crisp as you want. Run it.
I'll get the GLaDOS crossover.
Yes.
Nice. Well,
wait, Matt, did you have something you were gonna say?
Yeah, just like just an outsider's looking in. I've never played any Monster Hunter, but all of the like marketing campaign to support this release was kind of overwhelming. Just the Monster Hunter never appealed to me, but we had like how many Monster Hunter directs? We had maybe 2 or 3. And some of them were like on Nintendo's YouTube page. So there was major support from Nintendo, and everyone's playing it in our community, and it's getting good reviews. So just to know that there's follow through in this game makes it appeal to me, even though it's hard to play and it's somewhat non-accessible, but just know that it's a good game. It's really cool, and it would never appeal to me if all those things didn't exist.
Totally. I think seeing other people play it is how I got, into it, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened to me. I watched my roommates play all the way through 1, and then I was like, fine, I'll fucking try it.
Yeah. Man, I remember I went to LA like 10 years ago or some shit at this point, and or maybe not 10 years, but maybe 8 years or something. And a friend of mine was playing Monster Hunter on his 3DS, and he was like, dude, this is the best fucking game of all time. Like, you've got to play this shit. And every time a new Monster Hunter has come out, I've always like wanted to try it out, but I've always been so hesitant, man, just because like I know it's not I'm trying to get better at knowing my limits because I buy like every game and then I will play it for like a couple hours and then I just feel like a cuck. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I don't want to feel like a cuck on this one. I want to have control of my own life. So I think I think I'm getting to the point where I'm okay not playing Monster Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Now that having been said, if any of our listeners wants to buy me this game, I will play it.
Well, we can't play everything, right? You can't consume everything, so you got to pick and choose, and that's very adult of you.
And I picked the games that I bought this past weekend, and we'll get into those in the next segment.
Well, maybe it's about time for that. Is there any closing thoughts about Monster Hunter as a series, or Rise, or anything else we want to make sure we hit before we move on?
No. I mean,
No.
I think all I can really say is that I think this game fucking rules, and I think they did a really like brave mix-up of the game in a way that like fundamentally changes it, yet still kind of has the character. So I'm just
that's great. For someone that is like has been going back and forth on whether or not I'm going to jump in, the fact that this does sound more accessible and does sound like better for beginners is a good thing. And I think like I was hearing some parallels with like the Pokemon community when you were talking about people that like want the systems to remain exactly as they were in this kind of like antiquated form and pushing back on growing the franchise to include more people. And so I do think it's good that they're going that way with it. And it seems like World really pushed that, like the success of World really pushed that along.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I will say this, if you are somebody who did buy this game and don't know how to play it and want to learn, come by our Discord. We're all playing it right now, and I'm putting lobby codes up and stuff. So
yeah,
come jump
and
in.
I love playing with new players because it's just really fun to watch people like grow and like learn the game and kind of have that like aha moment where they just like, we're struggling for like so many hunts, and then they finally like get that counter that they've been whiffing for like 10 hours and they hit it and they just like scream. Like that kind of moment is just, I love it.
Yeah, I'm not mindlessly drinking potions by accident anymore.
Yeah.
Because the Y button is use an item, and for some reason it's also like sheath your weapon, or you know what I mean? And so like when I'm in the middle of a fight, I just, oh shit, I'm drinking a potion. I didn't mean to do that. And then like, but I'm not doing that anymore. I'm getting better. Cool. Well, I think we covered it then. So come join us, or if you have any other thoughts on Monster Hunter, share them with us. We'd love to hear them.
Comment, and subscribe, baby.
Yeah. And then when we come back from this short break, we'll talk all about the games we've been playing recently. Well, I have not been playing much new other than Monster Hunter. I'm trying to think if there's really anything I can even comment on. I guess I just been playing some games with my kid, and he's kind of rediscovered Mario Maker recently. So we've been making a lot of Mario Maker levels.
Hell yeah.
It's really kind of cute, but also not very good, as he's learning how to play, or learning how to trying to make music levels, but just kind of randomly putting things there. And he's like, listen to this. And I'm like, oh, it's great. Yeah.
So it's like a Aphex Twin song.
Yeah. Well, it's very dissonant, but it's fun when we make levels together. So we've been doing that some. I guess that's one of the things I've been doing recently.
Nice.
Cool. I'll go next, since I kind of alluded to playing some other games in the last segment. But first of all, I do want to say I've been doing the victory lap, death rattle, playing Mario 35 as much as I possibly can before it gets lost forever to the annals of time. Like I said a couple weeks ago or last week, my goal has been to get 10 wins in a row. I don't think that's going to happen at this point. I got like 3 wins in a row. And then on my 4th win, I got 2nd place. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to like grind Mario 35 for this long in order to get, we'll see. I'll go back to it again. Like I'll try to have another day where I'm going to it, but it's like, I'm at the point in that game where it's like, when I lose, I get so frustrated because I'm like, I'm better than this. I know I'm better than this. What's
10
wrong
in a
with
row,
me?
10 in a row.
Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like I'm holding myself to an unrealistic expectation. But it is a very fun game. I'm going to miss it dearly. Shout outs to the Mario 35 Facebook community that I'm a part of. It's a very entertaining and very sad thing to be a part of that community right now, because everybody's like celebrating the last week that we all have to play this game, but everybody's just in this mode of collective mourning that it's going away. It's kind of surreal to be a part of that community. So shout outs to them. And then other than that, this has been a big week for Super Monkey Ball clones. I talked about this a bit at the end of the show last week, but none of the games had actually come out yet. But one of the games is in early access on Steam, and it's called Rolled Out. And that game was kickstarted a while ago, and it's very much like they're trying to do like a 1-to-1 recreation of the systems of Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2, right? Because Super Monkey Ball, after Banana Blitz, has famously become a very bad franchise, and the games all they just poop them out. They added like big rails onto everything, so there's no danger of dying or anything like that. So Rolled Out is a game where you play as like a little like mouse or some sort of rodent inside of a ball. But it feels exactly like Monkey Ball, right? Where you're in like a plastic ball and it's very like bounce heavy, and the levels are very, very difficult. And that game's been a lot of fun. I've been playing that on my PC quite a bit. It's not finished. It's very clearly early access. I think only half of the levels that they want to put in are in the game. And there's like no music in the main menu and stuff like that. It's still, there's a lot of bugs and stuff they need to work out, but I've been playing that. But then another one that also came out the same week, another Monkey Ball clone, is called Paper Ball Deluxe. And this one I can really recommend. It's on the Switch and PC. So if you are listening to this, you probably have a Switch, so you can play it. It's about $18 on the eShop right now. And this game is amazing. I love Monkey Ball 1 and 2 so much, and was very disappointed that the game they decided to port to the Switch was Banana Blitz, because I think that game is terrible. And this is just like the successor to Monkey Ball 1 and 2. It doesn't feel exactly like it. Like if you want an exact 1-to-1 thing, that's Rolled Out. But this game, it's got slight differences. You can do things like actually control the camera with the right stick, which is really helpful. And it also has like medals for each stage. So it encourages you to try to beat it quickly. And then also if you take your time and don't fall off, then you get bonus levels whenever you like beat those and stuff like that. So if you're a Monkey Ball fan at all, I really recommend Paper Ball Deluxe. It's got a very strange kind of furry aesthetic. It's like about these like two cat girls in college that are making like a like a home ec fucking project or something like that. It's very strange story wise, but like the gameplay is all there. It's super fun. I can't put it down. In fact, I was playing a little bit while you guys were talking about Monster Hunter, and I beat a level that had been giving me a lot of trouble when I was like focusing all my energy on it. So I think I have to like do something else while I'm playing in order to really succeed. But great game. Got like 250 stages. I really recommend it.
Hey, I'll go next. I've been playing Sly Cooper. I'm just kidding. No, I haven't.
He's a devious
yeah,
raccoon.
devious. I got good news. I beat Sekiro.
Hey,
Last time it
There you
sounded
go.
like you might not even continue playing.
I know. I actually quit Furious on Saturday. I was pissed on Saturday, and I started playing it on Sunday. And on the last boss, the gameplay finally clicked with my brain.
Nice.
And
That's awesome.
it was such a weird feeling. I don't know if y'all have had this experience where you've played enough games, you played RPGs, you played action games, you're like, this is a difficult, I get the mechanics, and it's pretty, kind of cruising to enjoy the story to enjoy the music, but rarely do you learn a new game. And maybe Patrick, you had this during Monster Hunter, but with Sekiro, it finally clicked, and my brain finally saw Dark Souls games as like rhythm games at their core.
Oh, okay.
And after playing the last boss like 3 hours straight and losing for 3 hours, I beat him with all my lives and barely any life lost.
Dang.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it was such a weird feeling. And it very rarely happens. So I think I like the game now. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But it's a crazy game, man. Sekiro is an insane game, and it's the hardest game I've ever played. So we did it, fam. We fucking
Yes.
did it.
The emotional support you guys telepathically sent to Matt totally paid off.
Yeah, it worked. And I've been playing nothing but that game, and then I might replay it, but maybe not.
Ooh.
We'll see.
Nice.
You gonna pick up Monster Hunter?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick it up now that I beat Sekiro because that was haunting me, and I thought about it way too much. Yeah.
I gave up on Sekiro. I keep telling myself I'm going to go back, but I don't. We'll see. It's easy.
How long did you
Okay.
play it?
I beat like 4 bosses.
Okay.
So like I got okay, but then I just got to like one point where it was just like there's just parts in that game where it crushes your soul,
Mhm.
where you just like cannot figure something out. And I just hit that point, and then I got distracted with another game, and I was just like,
Yeah. It's the
Paper
most.
Ball Deluxe is kind of like that too.
Yeah.
It's unforgiving, man. It like
Yeah.
punishes you over and over and over and over again.
Mhm.
But when you figure it out, it feels good.
It does. It
That's
absolutely does.
Well,
Um,
what else have you been actually playing recently, Brian? Other than Monster
So
Hunter?
I've just been playing a lot of like indescribable games. Like, so I feel like Monster Hunter is like
Do
a
your
very easy game.
best.
Yeah.
Um,
Describe them,
No,
please.
I mean, like Monster Hunter is an easy game to describe, but it's also hard to like talk to about like when I tell someone like the shit that I did in Monster Hunter, they're just like, cool. Like you're like, okay, cool, you killed a monster. And it's like, no, but I did this counter that I've been working on for all these. They're like, I don't fucking care. So there's that. I've been playing Loop Hero.
I
which
hear
is
that
bad.
game is amazing.
It's really good, but it's also
Wow.
a hard game to describe. So if you're unfamiliar with it, it's like an auto battler roguelike that you don't get to control. You just change like the map. So you get to add the enemies and like the locations that the hero walks through. But based on how you put the map together, those things will like interact with each other. So if you put like a vampire's house next to the village, it now becomes like a zombie village, which like, then based on like other things that happen can change its state. So you have to like experiment with like all the tiles to figure out like how the ecosystem works to be able to build it in a way so that your hero can get strong enough to beat the villain. It's really
very
cool.
good. That's not on Switch yet,
No,
right?
I don't think so. I think it's
I
all
hear.
ones.
I've heard that game would be amazing on the Switch, though.
It would be so easy. It's all
Ah.
drag and drop. Like, I mean, they should absolutely do it. It'd be a great game on the Switch.
I want that.
Yeah. And then I also have hopelessly and shamelessly fallen into Blaseball. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this concept.
Yeah.
Heard of it?
Okay.
Yeah. I have, it hit me hard. Like, I didn't know about it, but somebody I know, there's a guy who does a lot of board game videos, Quinn's, like Shut Up and Sit Down. He made this video explaining like what Blaseball is. And to keep this to not a podcast length, I'm going to bring it down into its elevator pitch. It is a chaos simulator that's vaguely based on baseball, where all of the teams and people are made up. And you join a team and you can like bet on like what's happening, but also you can like make changes to what's happening on your team at the end of every season, which is 1 week long. So it's like everything from like sports is crammed into a week, but also at the end of the season, you get to vote on like a decree for something that's going to change the fundamental aspects of the game. And so like at the end of the first season, one of the decrees they could open up was they could open up the forbidden book of Blaseball, which obviously everyone was like, yes, we're doing it. So they did. And when they did that, it immediately incinerated one of the players. And from that point forward, there's a weather condition where players just catch on fire and die forever. And so then now there's like the Blaseball gods that are fucking with like the whole system. And so there's like this whole aspect of like players versus the game. But then you're also doing this baseball management thing, but also it's like a generation for like fan art and community and lore because people come up with
Wow.
all of these stories for what's happening around just literally a text-based web game. It's like absolutely insane. I'm on like 3 Discords. I can't stop thinking about this game. I love it so much.
Man, you
That's
are
so cool.
You're speaking my language.
Yeah, that sounds like a Matt game, right?
Yeah,
there.
Yes.
like chaos simulators, hard
Yes.
to describe. There's no purpose. This is my shit.
Look up
Yeah.
Blaseball. I can send you a video that'll show you like what happened seasons 1 through 11, get you caught up.
There's 11
And-
seasons.
It's
Well,
only
at
been
least
out for like
a
6
season-
months, right?
No, it's only a week. Okay.
It's only 1 week. Yeah.
That's so funny.
And so season 14 just ended. And so they're taking a 2-week break, a 2-week siesta. And so this is the second week of the siesta. And yeah, it's insane. I'm on the Brooklyn Jazz hands. Let's go. Let's go, Brooklyn. Yeah. So Matt, if you ever want intro into Blaseball,
I absolutely do. I've looked at Blaseball many, many, many times, and I went online. I just like, I don't get this, but the text base like appeals to me, and I know how weird it is to describe or like get into.
Mm-hmm.
I
would say make an account, choose a team, get on the Discord, and just fucking go.
When is that coming to the Switch? That's
as soon as they had a browser.
Right.
Cool. Well, I think that does it for the episode then, right?
Very good.
Thanks, Brian, so much for coming on and talking to us about Monster Hunter.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks to MilkyWay.co, who does our website. Thanks to Corduroy, who does our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick online, I am PDYX.
Hey, I'm on Twitter, Matthew, MATHYOU.
I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Brian? Where can people find you online?
You can find me on the hard to say out loud BD Bonnet. That's the letter B, the letter D, BONNET. And that's pretty much that's my Twitter handle and Instagram and all that.
Awesome. Very good. Yeah. Follow Brian for some great content across the wide world of the internet.
Or you can see me on Discord as Bbon. Hit me up if you ever want to play some Monster Hunter. I'm around.
That's right. That's right. Also, whenever this pandemic fucking ends, you can catch Brian on stage somewhere doing some improv with us maybe someday.
I would like that.
Yeah. I don't even, honestly, like someone was talking recently, like, hey, the theater might open again soon. Like, you want to, maybe get the show back up and running? I was like, dude, I can't even think about that shit right now.
Oh,
I'm not prepared to do live comedy again.
Yeah, I was like
mentally
emotionally nervous just coming onto a podcast where I talk about a game that I love, let alone going on a stage to perform.
I watched UCB's ASCAT, the thing that appeared on Bravo like 10 years ago. And as soon as it started, like they introduced the monologist, I was like, oh my God, I miss improv so goddamn.
Yeah.
I can't watch this. I can't watch this.
Yeah, it's just like filling me with anxiety, even thinking about doing comedy again. We'll see what happens. But ladies and gentlemen, other than that, if you'd like to, that was just a little bit of an aside there. But we're all comedians here on this podcast. If you would like to follow our show on social media, we are at Switchheads on Twitter. We are at Super Switchheads on Instagram and Facebook. And then, of course, as we've mentioned before, please join our Discord. It's a bustling community full of like-minded, sexy people that are all talking about video games. I don't know. I just thought it would be fun to say.
It's very sexy.
Everyone's fucking sexy on the Discord. And then also our Facebook group as well is a great place to just talk games, share memes, and have a great time. It's like our forum of sorts for the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for listening to this episode on Monster Hunter Rise. Is David going to buy this game? Is he going to be a Nintendo cuck once more? Tune in next week to find out. We got a great show for you guys next week as well, and maybe some surprises later this week if you stay tuned. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, we love you very much. Continue to wash your hands. Continue to wear a mask. Get vaccinated. Everybody in Texas can get vaccinated as of today. So go get it done. Don't be afraid of the microchip that Bill Gates is trying to put in your system. It makes all Microsoft products cheaper. We love you guys very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.